Hey, Gen Xers. If you're staring into the void of the future and wondering which of your skills might have any bearing on what you'll do next, you're in good company. When you leave corporate by choice or by force, it can feel like your skills don't matter. Like when you leave the job behind, you let go of all of your niche abilities and have to grope around for new ones. But wandering through the wilderness is not a crisis. You're right where you need to be because this is where it gets interesting. Let's take stock of the skills you've already developed that will carry forward into the thing you build. We'll look not only at what you're good at, but which skills you actually want to keep using, because that's the foundation you'll build from. You don't need a fully formed idea. You just need to know what you're working with as you head into this new chapter. This is Burn the Map, the podcast for Gen Xers dying to leave corporate and build something of their own. I'm Shelley McIntyre, a certified coach with decades of experience in corporate strategy and tech. I help midlife professionals ditch outdated roles and design a third act that actually fits. Subscribe so you don't miss an episode. Let's get into it. You're not starting over. I know it can feel like that when you're leaving corporate, especially if you've been in a progression of similar roles or in the same industry for years. You develop deep familiarity with insurance or coding languages or B2B marketing, and it's easy to confuse domain knowledge with your value. But your deep knowledge about a domain or product is not the same as what you built over your decades of work. You grew, often the hard way, and created a set of skills that you can carry forward, adapt from, and use again. And if you want to build something of your own, the first step isn't coming up with a brilliant new idea. It's recognizing the starting point you already have. The real work here is spotting your actual skill set, not just the bullet points from your last job description, but the skills you've honed over the years. The way you solve problems, the invisible work that's made you the person people count on. Job titles flatten out the nuance of what you really do. They focus on hierarchy and domain, not capability. And job descriptions are particular to one company's culture and current set of challenges. You might have been a director of marketing, but what you actually did was spot patterns in data and distill them into insights, navigate egos and politics to drive consensus, build teams that trust each other, protect your team from burnout, and translate abstract goals into workable plans. Each of those gets added to the mix that will become your starting point, and you're not even done. You also gain skills through parenting, volunteering, coaching, or even managing that aggravating condo board. When you start something of your own, you decide which skills get to be in the mix. Sure, they are transferable skills if you consider that where they transfer from is irrelevant. They can come from anywhere. Let's try a clearer way to surface the skills you actually want to bring with you. Step 1. Choose a project you're proud of. Big or small, inside or outside of work, what matters is that it felt meaningful to you. So, what was the official goal of the project, and what actually happened? Step 2, reverse engineer your role. Ask yourself, where did things get stuck, and how did I help move them forward? What informal role did I step into? Maybe you were the glue, the translator, the challenger, or the morale booster. What decisions did I influence? What invisible labor or emotional work of mine helped things succeed? And what did people come to me for, whether or not it was in my job description? Step 3, notice the feelings. What of all of that gave me energy? What drained me? What was I proud of that no one noticed? Where did I feel underused or miscast? Step 4, decide what comes with you. Of everything you just jotted down, circle what you would gladly do again. Cross out what you never want to touch again, and put a star next to anything that feels worth reclaiming or reimagining. You're not just listing tasks here. You're mapping how you operate when things get complex. This is the raw material you'll build with. I'm going to let you off the hook with something. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. You might be the go-to person for data analysis or managing whiny employees, but do you really want to keep doing that? When you're building your own thing, you get to choose. You can drop the skills that drain you and keep the ones that align with where you're headed. I used to list content management spreadsheets as a skill on my resume. I was good at them, so every employer asked me to make more. But I hated it, so I stopped naming it, and the requests stopped too. That's the power of curating your skills on purpose. That short list of energizing, repeatable skills becomes your creative base, what you'll build from, grow with, and evolve beyond. Whatever comes after this, it's going to draw on those strengths and find natural alignment with where you want to go. Let me tell you about Anna. Anna had spent 20 years in corporate communications. On the surface, she shaped messaging. But under pressure, she became the fixer, the one who could spin and soothe and silence just about anything. Over time, her work started to feel hollow. She was writing statements she didn't believe in, helping executives dodge accountability, and watching the truth get trimmed for the sake of quarterly optics. When Anna stepped away, she didn't have a perfect plan, but she had a list. The skills she wanted to keep, the ones she never wanted to use again, and a few forgotten talents that still had some life left in them. Her real gift wasn't PR, it was distillation, finding the one idea that made everything make sense. So she started something of her own. She now works with seniors to capture and preserve their stories, crafting legacy narratives that honor the mess, the meaning, and the moments that shaped them. She's still a translator, but now she translates a life, not a brand. She stopped being the fixer, and she became a witness. That's the moment Anna gave up performing someone else's story and started writing her own. When people say transferable skills, it implies that you're moving them over to a new corporate environment, but you're not doing that. Think of your skills as portable instead. They travel with you because they reflect how you think, lead, and solve problems, not because they fit a generic template. My GenX clients are rapid learners. They can read a room and help teams feel safe and heard. They're systems thinkers and pattern detectors. They have creative wisdom honed from years of experimentation, failures, and success. These are serious assets, especially when you start imagining work outside the narrow confines of a job description. When we talk about reinvention, we tend to focus on what we're leaving behind. We describe the highs of job titles, status, and access to networks, and the lows of burnout and corporate politics. But I want to shift your focus. Your next chapter isn't a rejection of everything that came before. It's a remix. The starting point you've built, which includes your skills, instincts, experiences, and insights, is your greatest asset. Leaving your job doesn't change that one bit. You'll use your accumulated ability to build something solid. Identifying the skills you've developed both inside and outside formal employment is the first step to internalizing what you're good at and why. Before you define what comes after this, you get to honor the internal, confidence-boosting work you've already done. This is a part of what I work on with clients. It's like detective work, because the skills you've been swimming in for so long might not be visible to you right away. Discovering the abilities you've ignored or downplayed can be an excellent reminder of your value. If you're in this phase, figuring out what's worth carrying forward and what you're ready to drop, you're doing the work that makes everything else possible. Burn the map. Build what fits. Thanks for listening to Burn the Map. Gen Xer, you already have what you need to build a life that feels like yours. Want more tools and insights? Head to burnthemapcoaching.com. And if this episode sparked something, send it to a friend. It might be exactly what they need to hear.